perspective on news at Damimogo 107.7 FM, the voice of the light.
Good afternoon and welcome to Globa Box, your quick tour bulletin around the world on Adamimogo 107.7 FM, Edo Ekiti. Here are the top stories. Nigerian government announces move to tax more Nigerians. US, France lead call for temporary ceasefire along Israel-Lebanon border. Japan sends warship through Taiwan Straits for first time. Thanks for joining us on Global Box. I am Layi Oyawa. The details. We'll begin from Nigeria, where the government has announced a plan to tax more Nigerians and businesses despite economic hardship. This plan is part of the government's economic stabilization bills approved by the Federal Executive Council on Monday. The chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy Tax Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, disclosed these in a statement on his official X account. According to him, the initiative, termed Tax Identification, Consolidation and Collaboration (TICC), will help increase Nigeria's tax base and widen revenue. He noted that the plan is part of the 15 different tax, fiscal and establishment laws to facilitate economic stability and set the country on the path for sustained inclusive growth, adding that the economic stabilization bills have been sent to the National Assembly for approval. Away from Nigeria, Donald Trump has hit out at Volodymyr Zelensky for not negotiating with Russia to end the war in Ukraine, claiming that even the worst deal would be better than the current level of death and destruction. Speaking at a campaign rally in North Carolina yesterday, he said Ukraine would never be able to replace its many dead people and towns and cities destroyed in the war. Addressing supporters, Trump said Ukrainian cities are gone, noting that billions of dollars will continue to be given to a man who refused to make a deal, Zelensky. He added that there is no deal that he could have made that wouldn't have been better than the situation you have right now. Meanwhile, the Speaker of the U.S. House, Mike Johnson, has demanded that Ukraine fire its ambassador to Washington as a feud between the Republican Party and Volodymyr Zelensky escalates. Johnson's intervention comes after President Zelensky visited an arms factory in Scranton, Pennsylvania, the hometown of President Joe Biden, in a key swing state with several top Democrats. In a public letter, the top Republican said the visit was designed to help Democrats and claimed it amounted to election interference. The row has threatened to overshadow Zelensky's meeting with President Joe Biden on Thursday, during which he will present a plan for victory in his country's war with Russia. The United States, France, and several Arab and European countries have called for an immediate 21-day ceasefire across the Israel-Lebanon border following intense discussions at the United Nations. According to a report, a U.S. official revealed that the pause in hostilities would apply to the blue line, the demarcation line between Lebanon and Israel, and will allow the warring parties to negotiate towards a potential diplomatic resolution of the conflict. Also, a joint statement by the countries released by White House called on all parties, including the governments of Israel and Lebanon, to endorse the temporary ceasefire immediately. The United Nations Security Council has been urged not to turn a blind eye to Israel's attacks on press freedom, including the targeting of journalists during its war on Gaza. Maldives President Mohamed Muizu yesterday told the 15-member body that journalists from Palestine, Lebanon, who Israel has killed or closed their offices while they risk everything to prevent a return to a world where children and babies die in silence, perish in darkness. While Israel denies targeting journalists, the Committee to Protect Journalists, CPJ, says more than 110 journalists and media workers have been killed in Israeli attacks since the war began in October last year, while authorities in Gaza have put the figure at 173. Globa Box is reaching you live from Adamimogo 107.7 FM Ido-Ekiti. Still to come, Japan sends warship through Taiwan Strait for first time. Please stay with us.
Hello, good people of Ekiti State and its environment. For your private, political, family, or club meetings, and so on, of not more than 50 to 100 participants, we introduce to you Adamimogo Event Hall. Yes! Right at Olojudo's Palace, Adamimogo 107.7 FM's compound, Ido-Ekiti. Ample parking space, good security, clean environment. You also have the opportunity to book for a media publicity of your event on our fast-growing social media platforms. All these for a talking. Simply visit us at Olojudo's Palace, Ido-Ekiti, or call the following numbers for more inquiries: 0803-526-5812 or 0916-340-0878 or 0806-511-4430. You can also call 0806-380-8891 at Damimogo Event Hall. We are waiting for your patronage.
Welcome back and thanks for joining us again. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook via Adamimogo 107.7 FM. For happenings around you or news inquiries, please contact our newsroom on this number 0811 801 8242. Now to the rest of the news. Japan has sent a destroyer through the Taiwan Strait for the first time amid increasing military activity around Japan by China. Report says the Sassanami entered the strait from the East China Sea on yesterday morning, spending more than 10 hours sailing south to complete the passage. The passage was conducted with naval ships from Australia and New Zealand ahead of planned drills in the disputed South China Sea, the reports said. Meanwhile, neither Japan's top government spokesman, Yoshimasa Hayashi, nor the Ministry of Defense has given an immediate confirmation. Still in Japan, a court has ruled that an 88-year-old former boxer sentenced to death in 1968 on a wrongful murder conviction is innocent. The Shizuoka District Court today said Iwao Hakamada was not guilty in a retrial for the quadruple murder of a company manager and 3 of his family members in 1966. Presiding Judge Koshi Kune said the court acknowledged multiple fabrications of evidence and that Hakamada was not the culprit, according to a report by Japanese broadcaster NHK. Freed in 2014 pending retrial, Hakamada had languished on death row for 46 years after what turned out to be a forced confession for the murders of the miso soy paste factory where he had been hired in 1965. On entertainment, Pulitzer Prize-winning author Jhumpa Lahiri has declined to accept an award from New York City's Noguchi Museum after it fired 3 employees for wearing keffiyeh head scarves, an emblem of Palestinian solidarity. The museum, founded nearly 40 years ago by Japanese-American designer and sculptor Isamu Noguchi, announced in August that employees could not wear clothing or accessory that express political messages, slogans, or symbols during their working hours. The museum said in a statement yesterday that Jhumpa Lahiri has chosen to withdraw her acceptance of the 2024 Isamu Noguchi Award in response to our updated dress code policy, noting that it respects her perspective and understands that this policy may or may not align with everyone's views. Talking sports, several supporters of Italian football club Lazio have been banned from attending their UEFA Europa League match against Dynamo Kyiv in Hamburg after German police seized weapons from them, the club and police said. The fans were stopped after attempting to evade a police escort near the city's town hall and were subsequently searched by riot officers. A police statement yesterday said after the group attempted to evade police surveillance and ignored officers' shouts. Riot police stopped and checked the group. With that sports story, we end this edition of Global Box on Adami Mogo 107.7 FM Ido-Ekiti. Before we go, the highlights again. We brought it to you that in Nigeria, the government has announced a plan to tax more Nigerians and businesses despite economic hardship. We told you that the United States, France, and several Arab and European countries have called for an immediate 21-day ceasefire across the Israel-Lebanon border following intense discussions at the United Nations. It was in the news that Japan has sent a destroyer through the Taiwan Strait for the first time amid increasing military activity around Japan by China. That's Global Box on Adami Mogo 107.7 FM, Olojude's Palace, Ido-Ekiti. On behalf of the production crew led by Oladoyin Ayebusi, my name is Layi Oyawa. Good afternoon.